Welcome back to episode 101 of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, Mike Gordon.
Woo, howdy. We're in triple digits, Drew. 101. So this is yeah, it's pretty exciting. We're in the hundreds now. I didn't know if we'd make it this far.
I didn't have any doubts.
No. No, because we're having too much fun. And we have to see this through. As a matter of fact, I got a feeling that once we get through the third season, no matter how rocky it may be, it's going to be sad because it's going to be over.
Yes.
But we've got plans. We've got plans.
Yes.
So
And I'm excited about those plans.
good. Me too. But let's get excited about this, man.
All right, so this is Batman Season 3, Episode 5, A Horse of Another Color. And like, you can't say that title without thinking of Wizard of Oz.
It's funny you mention that because I was looking for where that expression came from, and obviously, yes, in the movie Wizard of Oz, you've got the carriage being drawn by the horse that changes colors, right? And I think they call it horse of a different color, whatever. And I was like, is that where that phrase comes from, Wizard of Oz? But apparently it does stem from Shakespeare, Twelfth Night, where he wrote a phrase, a horse of that color, to indicate the same sort of different the differences between something and one and the other. So and yeah, by the mid 1800s it evolved and indicate a difference rather than that color. It was a different color. So it's one of those things where it's like people are misquoting it all the time because the original quote is a horse of that color, but people are misquoting it all the time. So but I do like the Wizard of Oz connection to it as well. So I'm glad you picked up on that because that was pretty neat. Although, yeah, not applicable here. Well, maybe. We'll see.
Episode aired Thursday, October 12th, 1967, directed by Sam Stranges, Stranges, and written by Charles Hoffman.
Yep, yep. Now this is the first time the second part of a multi-part story does not begin with a recap of the previous episode. And this begins in a completely different location than the end of the first episode. So yeah, because when we last week, the last episode, we were in the Batcave. This episode, we jump into back to the library. So this show is not even producing cliffhangers and going by the the formula that worked for them in the previous two seasons, which I find is interesting. They are just like full out into a new kind of way of writing this show, which for better or for worse is interesting to me that because even though it's a two-parter, it doesn't feel like a normal Batman two-parter. And there's a lot that goes on, a lot that happens in this two-parter, but there's a lot of they skip a lot of stuff too, as we'll talk about. There's some scenes that I'm like, what happened?
Now, I do have to say, I don't believe we ever were in the Gotham City Library before season 3. I don't remember ever being in it.
No, 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 no,
We're
no. I
spending
think
a
that
lot of time here.
well, yeah, because well, A, we've got a new character that works in the library, and B, yeah, I think we're just, we're seeing the budget is so restricted now that you're just going to see shots of like the same places over and over and over again. So everything is gonna happen in the library. Everything is gonna happen. Well, we're not going to see probably to your point, we're not probably going to see all of Wayne Manor. Like we pointed out last episode or so. You're not going to I mean, we'll see the commissioner's office. But I don't there's a lot of things that we're not going to see, and of course the you can really tell when they go to the villain's lair and it's just all black in the background. There's no, and actually not just the villain's lair. When they go to other sets, like when they went to the glue factory, it was just all black in the background. I mean, I think stylistically they do make it work. It looks kind of cool and different, but you know they're just doing it because they don't have the budget.
Daybreak at the Gotham City Library. Penguin has just obtained the priceless folio of famous umbrellas. He knows a place to get a good price for it, and then he and Lulu are off to the races.
Literally.
Batman, Robin, Commissioner Gordon, and Chief O'Hara arrive at the library, catching Penguin red handed. The Penguin wonders how Batman and Robin got unglued. Has Penguin come to the end of the road? Only one truck driver has the answer: Magic Batman.
I think Batman's like, you woke me up for this?
Yes, this time we're hey, I had to figure out some way to bring him back.
I mean, really, you know, what happens when Batman answers the phone? That you mean that wasn't strong enough?
No. Magic Batman, will Penguin get away? Answer: you've won this fight.
He's just like, I think he's just like, I'm going back to bed. Wake me for the patrons. He's just working for the patrons now, Drew. Because we do use him every episode, every chapter of the patrons, when we were reviewing the 1943 serial. Because those are, I mean, literally cliffhangers. We've had
Yep.
some that literally take place on a cliff. So yeah, so he is working overtime for the patrons.
He's been napping since season 2 till now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I know he's going to come out a few more times this season, but not every episode, or not even every other episode like he was in previous seasons.
Holy diversionary tactic! Penguin flips open his umbrella, shooting sparks at our heroes. The Penguin escapes. Were you disappointed he wasn't shooting at him for real?
I mean, I thought it looked cool, but I don't actually expect him to start like, firing bullets at them.
Well, it's we've seen it before. His umbrellas have been guns. This time it was just sparklies.
It's true. It's true. It's true. We have seen him a little bit more deadly before, but yeah, I think, yeah, well, we'll just keep going.
Yeah. Well, we saw him more deadly last week because he planted a bomb in the library.
That's true. That's true.
And I guess he's a little more murderously later in this episode too. So
Well,
Chief
kind of. We'll see. Go ahead.
Chief, Chief O'Hare promises to have his men pick up Penguin in a jiffy. Batman shouts no. He wants this to play out because he believes this is part of a bigger caper. Barbara Gordon arrives at the library, greeting the dynamic duo, Chief O'Hara, and kissing Commissioner Gordon on the cheek. Chief O'Hara reveals that the slimy bird penguin slipped through their fingers. Barbara states she is going to call Bruce Wayne. As head of the library's board of trustees, he'd be upset at the loss of a rare item. Batman stops Batman stops Barbara, stating she needn't bother Mr. Wayne needlessly. They will have the folio back within an hour. Batman suspected that Penguin might make this move, and he has prepared a counter move. So I wanted to point out one of the things we're starting to see back in this episode is Batman being steps ahead.
Yes, I was going to point that out as well. Good call, because this is a theme that it seems like he doesn't know what he's doing sometimes, most of the time. But in this, but and it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's not really that complicated, but he does seem like he's on top of things, and he does some things here, and I think Charles Hoffman uses it more as a shortcut to sort of skip over things than he does really giving Batman a lot of credit. But he yeah, he does that, and it's okay. It works because it seems like he knows what's going on, and I like that.
Yeah, totally opposite of part one.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Whereas, like, yeah, in some of these episodes this season, Batman and Robin have almost seemed like they're just waiting for the computer to help them out. Where we don't, and even in part one, I think they were kind of lame. But here, he seems like he's back. So, yeah, really weird, inconsistent writing from Charles Hoffman, but I was glad that it's going in the right direction, at least for now.
Today is the day of the Bruce Wayne Foundation handicap at Gotham Park Racetrack.
No, no, no,
Bat
no, 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 no. Memorial handicap because because somehow, for some reason, people think he's dead. It's the Bruce Wayne Memorial. I mean, I don't, I just, yeah. Maybe Bruce had a grandfather that was named Bruce.
Batman is sure that Mr. Wayne has many other important things on his mind. Batman and Robin decide to return to the Batcave. Penguin returns to his bookshop and praises Lulu, stating that Parasol is the sharpest looking horse of another color he's ever seen in his life.
She is literally painting that horse. I thought it was so kind of funny. It's a nice visual. She's just painting. And I'm like, yeah, I'm hoping that you're doing something better than that. At least they're not painting it pink like Pinky did in the Green Hornet two-parter.
Lulu hopes that nobody recognizes that the horse from the glue factory is in Parasol's stall is a phony. Penguin laughs that by the time they do, the race will be over. Lulu is worried that the jockey, Wally Bootmaker, will realize that Parasol is a fake. Penguin tells Lulu not to worry about Wally Bootmaker. His two finks will take care of him.
Yeah, and for those people who don't know, Wally Bootmaker is a spoof on the real life famous, quite famous historical jockey. I think he's in the Hall of Fame, Willie Shoemaker.
The phone rings and Penguin answers it. It is Sammy wanting to make a bet. Penguin tells Sammy that all but two of the horses are going to be scratched except Parasol and a late entry by the name of Bumbershoot. Penguin suggests that Sammy bet on Parasol.
There's there's some weird like stuff that doesn't make sense here, but I did want to point out that you know what bumbershoot means?
No.
Bumbershoot is another name for an umbrella.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So so yeah, parasol, bumbershoot means both umbrella, ties into the penguin. I like that. That's cool. That's a nice gag. I do like that.
Lulu wonders what Penguin means by scratched. Penguin explains that scratched means withdrawn from the race. Pingy has a plan.
And I love that. So he literally like mansplains to her. And she goes, I know what scratched means. But why are we doing it? Like she's like, yeah, she's like scratched, and he like goes and explains it, and yeah, he penguin splains, I guess you could say here. But that was a funny scene where she's like, I know what scratch means. But then yeah, sometimes she seems like she's pretty knowledgeable, and other times not so much. Again, inconsistent.
Penguin scans through the newspaper and discovers an ad by a Mr. A.L. Frid. He will pay top dollar for priceless folios of all famous articles, particularly parasols.
Oh yeah, those sexy parasols. Those sweet, sweet parasols and bumbershoots.
Back at the Batcave, Robin wonders if they should use the Bat computer to locate Penguin's hideout. Batman already knows it's a little bookmaking shop on Fleece Street. He did a little extracurricular crime detecting while Dick Grayson did his homework.
Yeah, again, we show that Batman's on top of things, and I like that. I thought that was a pretty cool scene where, Robin's like, "Let's use the Bat computer," and he's like, "Nope, I got it." Like he just knows. So, that's pretty awesome.
Batman also reveals that the priceless folio is upstairs in Bruce Wayne's study. Upstairs in Bruce Wayne's study, Alfred answers a call from Barbara Gordon. He is not sure when Mr. Wayne will be in. Suddenly, the bookcase opens up, revealing Bruce and Dick coming up the bat poles. Alfred tells Barbara that Mr. Wayne has just returned. Barbara Barbara tells Bruce about the stolen folio, but Bruce Wayne is not worried. While he and Dick were out for their morning walk, Batman returned it.
No, 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 no. They're morning constitutional.
I called it a walk because I was like, constitutional? What the heck are they talking about? I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's a regular walk.
Unless you put it in quotes, Drew. Then it's something else entirely.
Barbara is quite surprised. She is still naive enough to believe the impossible can't be done. She guesses she owes Batman an apology. Back at Penguin's bookstore,
All right,
Penguin learned.
before we get there, before we go back to the bookstore. So Alfred has bought the book from the Penguin. Or I'm sorry, A.L. Fred has bought the book from the Penguin. How is that even possible, Drew? How is it possible that Alfred could buy the book from the Penguin? Because if there's any villain that should know who Alfred is, it's Penguin, right?
I just assumed Alfred was in disguise.
I mean,
He'd have to be.
we skip over that entire thing, and I feel like that was a cheat because we don't even get an explanation. I mean, the show's been kind of inconsistent, but it's like on the one hand, it has continuity because the Penguin is literally mad that Barbara spurned his advances and he wants to get revenge on her for that, which we saw in a few episodes ago, which makes perfect sense. But on the other hand, Penguin has no idea about like he doesn't recognize Alfred at all, and he just that just no, that doesn't work. Like especially since later on he recognizes the youthful ward Dick Grayson, who's in a quote unquote disguise. So on the one hand, Penguin's pretty sharp, and on but they just skip over this, and I think it would have not been nice to see this play out. But that was a stumper for me. I'm like, if there's like we said before that the Joker has come up against Alfred before and not done so well, but Penguin really has a history with him all throughout the series. And I just, I just can't believe that would happen. But anyway,
The way Alfred's been lately, if he would have met with Penguin, he could probably just took him out there and the show
I
would have been
know.
over.
Well, that's the other thing that's weird about this, Drew, is that Batman and them have ample opportunities to capture the Penguin and put him in jail without even going to the racetrack. And they even say that they have an excuse to arrest him because he tried to bomb the library. But yet they still continue to let him go and play this out, which one of the criticisms I saw about this episode that was a write up by our good friend Keith DeCandido when he was doing those write ups for online about each episode was that the only thing that makes sense is that Bruce Wayne wants to just make a lot of money with his horse. and and of course that's a theory for sure, but we haven't gotten there yet. So but in any case, it just yeah. I mean, look, Charles Hoffman has written some really really great stuff for this show, so I don't want to demean him, but this is not his finest hour.
I can't argue with that.
But there is still some fun. There is still some fun.
Back at Penguin's bookstore, Penguin learns that Batman has recovered the priceless folio over the radio. Lulu wonders why Pinky is so upset. They got the $10,000. Penguin suspects Batman is up to something, and Ms. Gordon is going to smell something worse like poisonous gas from his toy penguin.
So, just real quick, because Penguin uses his little Penguin radio, which is kind of cute. I bet that doesn't exist anymore, but that I wonder where that prop went. But in any case, he does that in both of these episodes, and he learns information about what Batman has done. First, he learns that Batman has defused the bomb, and the library wasn't bombed, and then he now learns that that the book on the sexy parasols and bumbershoots was recovered, and so he gets mad. But I think it's important to note here that the voice that he hears on that Penguin radio is from Gary Owens, who was around from 1934 to 2015. And you must be familiar. If you're not familiar with the name Gary Owens, you're familiar with the voice. He has over 200 credits, and he was actually featured in season one of Batman. He was a TV announcer for Holy on the season one episode Holy Rat Race, which was the False Face episode, two-parter. He was in 8 episodes of Green Hornet as an announcer, and he also was the main MC announcer for the series Laugh-In from 1968 to 1973. But he does have some closer ties in the superhero world. Around this time, 1966 to 1968, he was the original voice of Space Ghost. And he also provided a voice, I believe, the narrator for It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman from 1975, the musical, when it was shot for TV. He was the voice of Blue Falcon on the Blue Falcon and Dynamite Dog Wonder series. Very Batman-like, very
Mhm.
Batman-like. I mean, Dog Wonder, you know?
Yeah.
He also was the narrator of both episodes of Legends of the Superheroes in 1979, which we may get to. He also was featured in an episode of Sledgehammer. I mentioned that because I don't know if do you remember that was a short run
Yes,
of a
I remember
series.
Sledgehammer.
Yeah, and that was
It
very
was,
much like kind of like this series, right? Where it was funny,
mhm.
but it was more
Yep.
like the like Police Squad, right? Like the
Yeah.
Naked Gun movies. Before they were the Naked Gun movies, right? They were before that there was Sledgehammer, and Sledgehammer kind of had this fun tone to it as well. I like that show a lot. I think Adam West was in an episode of that, but don't quote me on that. But and also, he provided the voice of the 50s Batman in the 1998 episode of the new Batman Adventures, Legends of the Dark Knight. He was also, he reprised the role of Space Ghost in the episode of Batman Brave and the Bold, the cartoon that came out in 2011 called Bold Beginnings, which teamed up Space Ghost and Batman, which is a pretty cool thing in and of itself. So he's got not only has he got a lot of creds as a moderator, MC, announcer role, but in real life. But he also has a lot of creds in comic book geek stuff, DC lore, and I thought it was important to sort of mention it because this is the just the beginning of all of that. So, and all of that stuff is worth watching. And yes, if you hear the voice, you know it because you're like, oh, that's Space. It's really Space Ghost is really what I think most people know him for. Not the Space Ghost talk show host was performed by George. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look that up. But the Space Coast Coast to Coast on Cartoon Network, the talk show, was voiced by a different actor. It wasn't voiced by Gary Owens. It was voiced by it's gonna come to me, but probably after we're done recording. But anyway, there was an episode in which Space Ghost Coast to Coast, that Space Ghost talk show host, did interview Gary Owens. And so you had the two voices of Space Ghost talking to each other. That was really, really funny. That was a really funny episode. So, anyway, I just wanted to point out because we don't get cameos by celebrities anymore, right? Because the show doesn't have time for that. So this is about as close as it's going to come, I think.
At least we got a cameo from Magic Batman.
That we did. That we did. And the
Lulu,
penguin, the penguin, the toy penguin with deadly gas. I want to come back to that for a minute because it really kind of reminded me of Batman Returns, with the penguin using penguins to with weapons, weaponizing penguins, which I don't think we've seen him do a lot on this show. I
I
don't know
don't,
if this is
yeah.
the first time, but I don't recall having a penguin really do anything malicious before, but I could be wrong about that. But in any case, it just really reminded me of that.
Lulu objects, stating all they want to do is win a horse race, not kill anyone. Penguin states that Ms. Gordon spurned him once. She is not going to get a second chance. Penguin gives the toy Penguin gives the toy penguin to his henchman armband and orders him to give it to Ms. Gordon from a secret admirer.
I do want to point out here too, real quick, because in the last episode I mentioned that when Penguin was calling for his henchmen, he called out armband, visor, and something else that I couldn't quite make out what he was saying. I thought there was another name there. But when I went back and looked and I used the closed caption, I found out that Penguin just says, armband, visor, you other finks, attack. So he just is calling out his other henchmen. He's calling them finks. So none of them, none of the others are named. So I just wanted to put that correction in from last week.
Next, Penguin orders Visor to go to the racetrack and get rid of jockey Wally Bootmaker. Penguin doesn't care how Visor gets rid of him.
Well, I
There
guess
you
we'll
go.
see. We never see him, so who knows?
Finally, while Penguin is making entries, he wants Lulu to get rid of the other horses with itching powder.
So this is the thing that doesn't make sense to me, narratively speaking, because Penguin wants to give it gives the itching powder to Lulu here to get rid of the other horses, but yet we already have been told that the other horses have scratched. So it's like, how can the other horses have scratched literally before they're itching and scratching? I never even got that pun until just now. Uh,
No, I think what I don't think they'd been scratched yet. I think Penguin was saying he was going to have them scratched earlier.
Gotcha. So they
They
hadn't been
weren't
scratched yet.
they hadn't been scratched yet. When Sammy called, Penguin basically told him his plan. Those horses are going to
Gotcha.
be scratched.
Okay.
Here's the horse you should bet on. Of course, he's telling him to bet on the one that's not going to win.
I'm not, I stand by some of the inconsistency that Charles Hoffman has given us in this writing of this episode, but I'm going to give him major props for that pun that I just got now with scratching the horses with itching powder. I think that is hilarious, actually. So I'm going to give him that. Oh,
See,
and right then too, when he hands it to Lulu, she sort of looks at him like, "What's going on?" And then he scratches, very subtle. Burgess
scratches
Meredith
his gloves.
scratches his glove, and she looks down at it right before the cut. It's so funny and it's so quick, but it really is one of the best like reaction shots in the whole episode to me. It makes me smile. It made me smile at both times I watched it.
Just think of all the stuff you'd be missing if we weren't talking about it on the show. Back at Wayne Manor, Bruce Wayne receives a phone call from the racing secretary stating that every horse except Parasol has been scratched and Wally Bootmaker has disappeared.
I have to point out here that the racing secretary is played by Herbert Anderson, who was around from 1917 to 1984. We have seen him prior. He was in season two of the Clock King's Crazy Crimes. He played, I believe it was a clock shop owner named Harry Hummert. And at the time we mentioned that he has done a lot of other work, but most notably he's known as being the father of Dennis the Menace from 1959 to 1963. He played Henry Mitchell, so I recognize Herbert right off the bat. Herbert Anderson, good to see him again, and he's great in this role. He's really fun.
Also, there is someone there with a last minute entry called Bumbershoot. He says he is the owner, trainer, and jockey. Bruce asks what he looks like, and the secretary answers that he's a bit of a bird.
I believe he says he's the owner and the trainer, and then the penguin in his getup says, "I'm jockey." Penguin looks ridiculous in that outfit, but it's really fun. If they haven't done a figure of that, they need to. Like that needs to be a figure.
Bruce tells the secretary to allow him to let Bumper shoot into the race. He'll get another jockey to ride Parasol. Also, there will be another last minute entry from the Bruce Wayne stables, but not to say anything about it yet. When Bruce gets off the phone, he reveals to Dick and Alfred that Penguin has tipped his mitt. Somehow he's managed to switch the horses and put the big money on the wrong horse. Bruce reveals he is going to enter his own horse, Waynebeau, into the race. Dick volunteers to ride Waynebeau, but Bruce won't allow it because people will think something fishy is going on.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but but I do. I think it's pronounced Waynebeau, sort of like a take on Rainbow.
Oh, yeah, I did say that wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So, uh,
Waynebeau.
yeah, Waynebeau. So, and while they're talking about, who's riding the horse and all that kind of stuff, we don't get to see it in this episode. But it did make me think of like the image of Batman on a horse is really, really powerful to me. And I don't know if you can recall it, Drew, but there's been some really cool instances in the past where that have featured Batman on a horse. When I was looking into it, I think the first time he was featured, at least on the cover, on a horse was Batman 21, which was all the way back in the 40s. But there was a particular issue that I swear was in my collection, but I cannot find it. But issue number 449 of Detective Comics, where Batman is featured on a white horse in the middle of Gotham, and there's cattle all around. He's going up against the Midnight Rustler of Gotham City. And I mean, I thought that was striking at the time. Now, Batman on a horse, he's on a black steed in The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. He was also in an Elseworlds. There's an Elseworlds called The Blue, the Gray, and the Bat. That's a Western that takes place with Batman in the lead role. What if Batman was a hero in the Old West? There's also when Batman was caught in time after the whole Grant Morrison Final Crisis thing. The Return of Bruce Wayne, Batman was in the West, and he's on the cover on a black horse there. And most recently, Tom King had him on a horse in Batman 33 when he was courting, I guess, Catwoman. They were together. They were out in the desert. And that one's pretty notable to me because one of the horses has to be put down, which is a really dumb, like gross scene. But I don't know why they put that in there, but it struck at me there. So we have images of Batman on a horse before, and Batman on a horse is pretty cool. Is that a image that you can recall at all? You've
Yeah,
probably
I
read
was
some of
thinking,
those things, right?
yeah, definitely read Batman 33 from Tom King because Cletus and I did that whole run. So,
Yeah.
and then I was thinking, wasn't Batman on a horse in Gotham by Gaslight? Or am I misremembering that?
He might have been. It's been a while since I read that. And I know that there's been a sequel and all that stuff written about that. So, and there's an animated version of it too. I don't recall. That image doesn't come to me, but it's certainly possible. But yeah, I mean, he's usually on a black horse. But I think the reason that it struck me, especially as far as this show goes, is because we find out later that Waynebeau is a white stallion, and seeing a Batman or Bat uniformed figure on a white horse, I think just struck me as I remembered that image on the comic. So if you haven't seen it, Batman Detective Comics number 449 is pretty awesome looking. And I wish I had my copy. I looked for it and I don't know what happened to it, but I swear I had it at some point because the image is just one of those ones that I don't forget. But usually it's a black horse. It's it's like before there was a Batmobile, there was a Bat Stallion, I guess.
Don't be surprised if you see that cover in the newsletter.
You'll probably see that cover in the video. You probably
Instead,
just did.
instead, Dick can ride the fake parasol while Batgirl rides Waynebeau. The only problem is that Bruce isn't sure how to get in touch with Batgirl. A short time later, at the library, Barbara Gordon receives a gift, a toy penguin. Barbara's co-worker, Myrtle, winds it up. It spews out purple-colored gas, and Myrtle passes out.
Yeah, it's not exactly deadly, is it?
No.
And Myrtle gets the whiff of it, but Barbara's right there. Like, I don't know how she didn't breathe any of it, you know? But it's just yeah, it's kind of like I mean, the show wasn't killing people off at this point, so you couldn't really do that, but it was supposed to be deadly, quote unquote.
While Barbara is attending to Myrtle, Alfred shows up at the library and covers the penguin with his suit jacket.
Yeah, he
Alfred's
goes,
like, I ain't whiffing that stuff.
he's like, I am not going to be gassed ever again. I took many, many snoots to the face of that stuff, and I am not having it.
Myrtle only got a little whiff of the smoke, but it made her very dizzy. Barbara suggests that Myrtle lie down in the lounge. Barbara is about to call her
She
father,
just
but
walks away like a zombie too. She's like, I'll just, And I'm like, you should go to the hospital. Don't just lie down in the lounge. Go to the hospital.
Barbara is about to call her father, but Alfred stops her, suggesting that Batgirl spring into action. And I thought that was funny. This episode, Barbara keeps trying to call people, and everybody's stopping her.
That's true. Yeah.
She just
I,
wants to make a phone call. Barbara is back at Wayne Manor. The racing secretary calls Bruce upset and believes the race should be canceled. Only Batman himself can convince the secretary that the race should continue at this point, and he wants it in person.
he wants it in person. He's pretty mad, and I
He
like
just
the.
wanted to meet. I know he just wanted to meet Batman and get his
I mean,
autograph.
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And even Bruce has like, solid props to this guy because he knows that he's asking this guy a lot, and he's like, remind me to give him a raise, you know. So he's definitely in on it, and yes, like I know enough about horse racing to know that this is like not okay. None of this is okay, and I yeah, this has the potential to screw a lot of people who are there trying to make bets and putting their life savings on the line or whatever. So, but a lot of rich people too. So who cares, right? Um, so so we'll see how it plays out. But it's cool that we have a guy who's kind of like standing in and saying like this is nonsense. Like, I can't do this unless Batman tells me, and then I'll do it because I'm not going to cross Batman.
Alfred and Alfred informs Bruce that he talked to Batgirl and conveyed his message. I
So
I was like,
right,
he's
like
not Bruce is not going to question this whatsoever.
now, part of me, the fanboy in me, who's writing like behind the scenes and is saying that's because Bruce already knows. Bruce already knows who she is, and he's just playing this out. Um, but I, because Batman's smart enough. The Batman I know from the comics, the Batman I know from the animated series, the Batman I know as the detective already knows, but he's just not playing his hand. Um, but this show doesn't really give you that. At times it looks like it's that Batman, like we've noticed before in the beginning of this episode, but right now it's kind of like it just seems like it's kind of lazy. And it seems like it's inconsistent. And yeah, Batman should be like, "How did you get in touch with her, Alfred?" Like, what? You did what? Like, so we'll see how that can have that if that plays out for the rest of the season. I'm kind of curious as to whether or not because I don't actually recall whether he and Dick find out if who it is. So I'll be curious as we are going on if that is ever revealed.
That'd be an interesting interaction if Alfred answered him, "I'm not at liberty to say, sir."
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, I get it that Batman does respect her anonymity. That's the cool thing about this is that he does, whether he knows or not, he still respects her. And in some ways he's kind of taken by her, which is kind of creepy still for me. But but he's sort of like he does sort of, because Robin is the one who keeps saying, we should find out who she is, we should find out who she is, we should find out who she is. And Batman's like, no, no, let her have her anonymity, let her have her secrets like we do. I respect her. And that's cool. No, so no matter how this is played out, I still think it's cool that Batman. And so even if Alfred said, I know who it is, but I'm not at liberty to tell you. I think Batman would not, this Batman anyway, would be okay with that. It'd be like, okay, I respect that. I respect her. I respect you, Alfred. You know, there are versions of Batman that would just punch him and say, tell me who it
I I
is.
I think the Batman in the comics might let it go, but he'd figure it out like quickly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we discussed the Batgirl Year One series, but and that, he figures it out pretty quickly. And, he has his own reasons for not wanting her to be part of the team, but then he does allow her to be a part of the team. So, and he gives her a little bit of respect in that series as well, and I appreciate that too.
Bruce Bruce wants Alfred to bring a change of Bruce Wayne's clothing to the governor's suit at the turf club. In the meantime, Batman needs to convey a message to the racing secretary. Bruce goes to his bat pole. At the racing track, Batman tells the racing secretary that this race must be run. When it is over, Batman will tell him why. Bruce Wayne will be making an announcement after the race.
Yeah, I don't know why this race needs to be run. They've they've got they've got Penguin on two like an account like he's a attempted murder with a gassy penguin and an attempted bombing or an actual bombing that of the library. So I think that's enough to put him away for a little while. Not on this show, but I mean it's still a while. It's enough to put him away. But he wants this to play out. And like I said, according like Keith makes a good point. Like, he just wants to see his horse like run this race and for his own amusement or whatever, because it is kind of silly. It doesn't really make sense why he wants this to play out.
Lola Lasagna meets the new jockey for the fake parasol. He only answers her questions, si senor or si senora. I couldn't tell. I went back a couple times. I'm like, is he saying si senor or si senora?
He's
I
saying
just
he has to say, well, he should be saying "Si, Senora" because that's who she's a female,
right, exactly. But I
and she's
couldn't
not a
tell.
senorita.
I played it
Are
back a
you
couple times.
saying, Drew, are you telling me that Burt Ward is not convincing in a Hispanic accent enough for you to tell exactly what he's saying? Are you telling me that Dick is not undercover in a convincing fashion? Is that what you're telling me? Because
Yes.
that just blows my mind, Drew.
Penguin tells his henchman that the new jockey looks a lot like Dick Grayson,
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne's ward.
yeah, Penguin's not full. Penguin, if he were smarter, which he has shown that he's usually one of the smarter villains, is very close to making the connection that Bruce and Batman are the same person. He comes very, very close to it here, but not quite.
Now, he's too busy stating that he will soon be eating his dust.
Yeah, he's he's too busy. He's got a race to win, so he's got work to do.
The announcer reveals that the horses are coming out on the track with a $100,000 foundation memorial handicap, 1 mile and 1 furlong. I didn't know what the furlong meant.
It's a racing term.
Okay.
It's a distance on the racing, yeah, racing track.
The horses line up on the track. Dick Grayson is riding Parasol. Penguin is riding Bumbershoot. And a surprise third horse appears on the track, Waynebeau, being ridden by Batgirl.
Batgirl on a horse. Yeah, I think that was the image that when I saw Batgirl on the white horse, I was reminded of Batman on a white horse on that comic cover because it looks pretty cool. Now, Yvonne Craig really has done at this point had done horseback riding before. I think in a couple of movies she's featured on a horse, and my understanding is that she wanted to do the horseback riding in this scene. However, this was she when the horse that was portraying Waynebeau was a rather large, fierce horse. So stunt woman Donna Hall rode her, I think, in the first part before the race, where they're all coming down, and I think it's really Burgess Meredith actually on that horse. On is he on Parasol? He's on Parasol, right? I can't remember. Is he on Parasol?
No, he's on Bumbershoot.
Gotcha. But Bumbershoot is really
Well,
Parasol.
yeah, Bumbershoot is really Parasol. So I know it's confusing, isn't
There's no wrong answer there, Drew. Unless you say Secretariat, and then then that's a wrong answer. But uh so I think it really is Burt Ward and Burgess Meredith on the horses, but I do believe that it's actually Donna Hall riding the horse when it goes up to the starting gate, and then I after that uh it's a male jockey that is in that outfit, which must have been fun for him. Um,
it?
I don't know if there were female jockeys at that time. I don't I know a little bit about racing, but not enough horse racing, but not enough to know if there were female jockeys at the time. I'm sure they could have found somebody to do that, but in any case, and again, all these scenes are filmed at Los Alamitos racetrack, which still exists today in the LA area or somewhere in that area. Yeah. So it is a real racetrack. I don't know if they really ran. I imagine that they ran this race without anybody in the stands, and the stands when they show the crowd are just stock footage. But yeah, I can't imagine. It must have been really strange because they even have a sign on the racetrack that says the Bruce Wayne Memorial Foundation. It just makes me laugh every time he's not dead. Um, I'm not dead. Um, but so they even made a sign for it. So even though they are cutting corners with the budget, it is kind of cool that they're on location. We don't see them on location very often. So this is pretty cool.
Bruce Wayne is sitting with the racing secretary when Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara arrive. Commissioner Gordon whispers to Bruce that Batman called him, stating that something very interesting might turn up here this afternoon. Lola Lasagna walks up next to Alfred, wondering what the third horse is doing on the track. Alfred answers that it is a late entry named Waynebeau. Lola rushes off to make her bet.
She hasn't made the bet yet. I really thought it was going to play out, and she didn't make the bet. And I thought that Penguin was going to go to jail, and she was just going to go with her 10. She was going to take the 10 grand and run. Like I thought, really, that's how it was going to play out. I wish it kind of I wish it did play out that way, but because she really waits till the last minute when she makes that bet. But her talking to Alfred's pretty cool here. I thought that was kind of fun. We see Alfred here, and we see more and more of Alfred than than we ever have in the other previous seasons.
The announcer states the flag is up and the race begins. The fans watch in excitement while the announcer continues to give updates. When the race finishes, Waynebeau is in first, Bumbershoot in second, and Parasol in third. Penguin takes off right after the race. Batgirl chases after him
He
and
waddles off. He nothing. I don't know if anything is as funny as watching Burgess Meredith waddle off, like and it's and speed waddle. He's speed waddling, Drew. Like he is going. He knows the gig is up. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this outfit and split. And he's just so fun to watch.
Batgirl chases after him. Dick Grayson chases after both.
So I
Penguin,
have to also point out too that when Batgirl runs, she runs like a ballet dancer, doesn't she? She doesn't just
yeah.
run. She's just sort of like those legs just sort of carry her float like it's so graceful. She's really they did one thing really right, and then they cast Von Craig as Batgirl because I can't imagine anybody else in the role, and she's just delightful every time she's on screen, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not saying that because I'm in love with her or anything, although, whatever. But I just really feel like she adds so much to this show. Like it would be some of this would be really painful. And if she was not cast correctly, this whole season would fall apart. And yet every time she's on screen, she seems like she's doing something to, if not stand out, at least be pretty cool. So I like her.
Penguin meets up with Lola and tells her they better make tracks. Lola states they haven't done anything wrong. Penguin replies they haven't done anything right. They just lost 10 grand and the pain is running faster than the horse did. Batgirl enters the jockey room and tells Penguin that there is no need to change clothes. They
Before
will
before
issue.
that happens, though, before that happens, like she just speeds by Lola, who is just like, "Hey, you can't go in there."
You're a girl.
Yep, which I thought was funny. And Batgirl does not care. She's like, "I'm going in and see some naked jockeys."
Yeah, that's why she's going in there. All right. Batgirl enters the jockey room and tells Penguin there is no need to change clothes. They will issue him a nice striped wardrobe where he is going. It- now that you mentioned naked jockeys, I'm surprised she wanted to go rushing in there knowing Penguin is going to be changing his clothes.
Well, she was his fiancée, Drew.
That is true, willing or not. Penguin shouts for his henchmen and a fight ensues. Batman and Robin show up right when the Penguin calls for more backup, telling him his odds haven't been good this afternoon. But 5 men against one girl is ridiculous.
I mean, I love it. Batgirl is holding her own against the two, Armband and Visor and Penguin, and she's doing a pretty good job, and all by herself. And then, of course, as as it continues to happen, more henchmen just pour out of nowhere. And so we've got a bunch of guys, and yes, then we get everybody in action, which is cool because you got to have Batman and Robin in action, so it has to play out that way.
When the fight is over, Commissioner Gordon, Chief O'Hara, Lola, and the racing secretary enter the jockey room. The racing secretary states that the results of the handicap will be declared permanently unofficial.
Yeah, which
Chief,
means everybody should get their money back, and except for Lola.
Chief O'Hara declares that Penguin will be permanently incarcerated along with Lula Schultz. Once Penguin and Lola have been wished.
Oh, she does correct him.
Yes, she does.
She says, "No, no, not Lula Schultz. Senora Lola Lasagna, and she's opens up her parasol, starts spinning around. She seems very happy to go to jail under that name.
Once Penguin and Lola have been whisked away, Batman and Robin notice that Batgirl has disappeared again.
Dun,
And
dun,
then
dun.
we get them going, oh no, she's disappeared.
Are you
Like
getting tired of that,
smoke.
Drew?
Yes, I am.
Well, get used to it, man, because we're
Hope they
only
don't
on.
do it all season. Oh no, she disappeared like smoke.
I
Okay,
mean,
we
yeah,
get
this
it.
is this is only episode 5 of the season, dude. So,
Later, Commissioner Gordon visits Barbara at the library. He wants to take her out to celebrate the capture of Penguin. Barbara spots King Tut, who takes off in a hurry. Commissioner Gordon states he must contact the dynamic duo. So King Tut has returned, but for what evil purpose? With what nefarious scheme? And what is he doing in this library? Because we don't have any better scenery. Watch the next episode for the awesome answer.
so we get Tut returning. That's a good thing. Next week, Tut is returning. So, that's always fun to watch. And yeah, we'll see how Tut responds to Batgirl. She seemed really interested in him. I
Yeah,
mean,
she did. She was asking
yeah,
all these questions.
yeah, as a librarian and as a, person who is keen on history, world history, it seems like we've been told several times that yeah, she's interested. And again, Yvonne Craig sells it. I think she does a great job. So kudos to her. Again, it's not one of Charles Hoffman, sorry, better scripts. He's going to be writing a lot of these episodes this season, so I hope that that this is sort of a miscue and they get a little bit better from here. There's still some really fun moments. Penguin, always fun, always a blast. And with the addition of Ethel Merman as Lola Lasagna, she's just having fun. You can tell she's having a blast. So she gets it. She understands the assignment and she's fine. The plot is, yeah, less said about that, the better.
Yeah.
But it's got some interesting stuff and they shoot on location and I think it's still fun. What about you, Drew, overall?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The story wise, it's a little goofy, but I it was a fun episode to watch. So that's all I got to say about it.
Well, enough said. Wait a minute, that's another podcast.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Do you have a shout out, Mike?
Shout out tribute. Just wanted to mention we did this on social media earlier this week, but I wanted to sort of mention on the show as well, even though this will air probably about a month from when it happened. But uh, recently, we saw the passing of artist and colorist Tatiana Wood, who passed away at 99. She was 99 years old. She almost made it to 100. But she was, in addition to being an artist herself of some renown, she was the main colorist for DC Comics, at least their covers and some interiors from like the 70s to the mid 80s, like for about 15 years. Like she was, if you saw a DC cover from that time period, she did the color for that. And let me tell you, I saw a lot of covers back then. As a matter of fact, that was my formative years of reading DC Comics. I mean, yes, I'd read a few before that, but really I started really getting into it. And in fact, the cover that we mentioned earlier, the Detective Comics 449 with Batman on the White Horse, she did the coloring for that. And one of my all-time favorite comics that was made around that time period that we've mentioned several times with the Batman and on the cake with the Joker, had Joker's birthday. She did the coloring for that. She also did interior colors for the Swamp Thing series. She did so much. And it should also be noted that when she did these covers, she was never credited. Her name appears nowhere in this comic. And so for years, well over a decade or so, maybe 2 decades, she was one of the best doing all that work, and she was hardly ever credited. People inside DC, like I've seen a lot of tributes from people who were around at that time, the offices and everything. They know who she is, but I don't think enough fans realize how much work she did. And on our Instagram, I posted some of my favorite covers that I have in my collection that she did. A lot of issues of Batman, Detective Comics, Teen Titans, Brave and the Bold. Like she did all of that stuff. And some of that stuff is really, really gorgeous. And I know that you came into reading comics a little bit later, Drew, but we've talked about some of those comics from the 80s and everything too, which you were reading as well. You grew up with, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. So, sincere condolences to her family, friends, and fans. She was one of the best, man, and she should be acknowledged. So, we're acknowledging her.
All right. And for my shout out, I got a shout out about the Lanterns trailer because I've been so excited for that show to come out. Been waiting for a real trailer to come out, and I wasn't disappointed. Well, I was a little disappointed because I didn't see any ring slinging action in it, but oh, I'm so excited for the show. So I didn't know it was going to be dropping yesterday, and when I saw it, I was like, whoa. So yes, I've watched it several times
Okay, yeah,
since
someone's
yesterday.
excited.
So yes, I'm very excited. So, if anybody ever listens to my other show, then they know how big of a Green Lantern fan I am. And of course,
Absolutely.
if you're a Patreon, you know where Cletus and I are reviewing the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run. So 'cause we're having a blast doing that. So even if any of the other comics we do during the show, we at least know we're going to get a good Green Lantern comic we're going to be talking about during the bonus episode.
I'm glad that you're enjoying Green Lantern again.
So, yes. And Absolute Green Lantern 2, I'm loving that. It is very different and it's mysterious. I love that. So, whether you like regular Green Lantern or you check out the new Absolute Green Lantern in the Absolute universe, uh, both the titles are good. So,
Nice. It's a good time to be a Green Lantern fan.
yes. All right. If you want to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line, 317-455-841. You can text us, leave us a message, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. All right, Bat Chum, are you ready to get out of here?
Bat Chubs are ready to ride out.
Atomic batteries to horsepower, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same horse time, same horse channel.
Don't worry, the tut is yet to come.